The small town of Red Rock was a place where loneliness clung to the air like desert dust, and in that dust lived a cowboy named Eli Dawson, a man with calloused hands, a quiet soul, and a heart that had known far too much silence. For years he worked his ranch alone, the empty rooms of his cabin, echoing with nothing but the creak of the wood and the sigh of the wind across the prairie. He was the kind of man people nodded to in town but never truly knew, a man who carried his solitude like a saddle that had become part of him. But one bitter evening, as the fire in his hearth flickered low, Eli wrote a letter, an act that surprised even himself, answering an advertisement for a mail-order bride. He didn't dare dream too much, only hoped for companionship, maybe a smile at supper, maybe a hand to hold when the night grew long. Weeks passed, and the day finally came when the whistle of the incoming train cut through the quiet town. Eli stood at the platform, boots planted firm in the dust, his hat tilted low against the sun, his heart thudding with a mix of fear and hope. When the train hissed to a stop, steam pouring like a curtain, a figure emerged that made the entire town freeze. She was not the delicate, modest woman most imagined stepping off with a carpetbag, no. She was towering, her golden hair glinting in the light, her green prairie dress tattered at the hem, her frame twice the size of Eli's. Broad-shouldered and strong, yet carrying herself with a grace that hushed the murmurs of the crowd. Eli blinked, his throat dry. As she walked toward him, her steps firm enough to shake the boards of the platform. Whispers spread like wildfire. She's a giant. She'll crush him. But Eli only saw the kindness in her eyes, a softness behind the strength that drew him in like a moth to flame. When she stopped before him, the air grew thick with tension, and then she did the most unexpected thing. She extended her hand, rough but steady, and said in a voice that carried across the street, "Mr. Dawson, I'm Margaret. I hope I haven't kept you waiting." Eli swallowed hard, aware of the stares, aware of how mismatched they must appear, yet something in him stirred, a courage he hadn't known he had. He took her hand, and though it felt small in hers, the connection sparked like fire to kindling. "Welcome to Red Rock," he said, voice steady despite the pounding of his chest. Around them, cowboys chuckled and women whispered, but Eli didn't care. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about his loneliness. He was thinking about her. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning of a story that would shake the town and test his heart in ways he had never imagined. The days that followed were anything but quiet. Margaret wasn't just larger than life in appearance. She carried a spirit that seemed to fill every corner of Eli's ranch. She rose with the sun, her laughter echoing across the fields. And when she worked, she matched and often surpassed the cowhands in strength, hoisting hay bales and mending fences with an ease that left onlookers stunned. Yet it wasn't her strength that struck Eli the most. It was her gentleness, the way she paused to feed stray dogs near the barn, or the tenderness in her voice when she hummed old songs while cooking stew over the fire. At first, the town mocked them. Men at the saloon would snicker about the giant bride, and women whispered about how Eli had been tricked. But Eli never flinched. If anything, he grew prouder to walk beside her. One night, as the sky spilled stars across the horizon, Eli found himself sitting with Margaret on the porch, the night air cool, the crickets singing. He turned to her and said softly, "You know, I wrote that letter because I was tired of being alone. I never imagined you." Margaret looked down at him, her eyes shimmering in the starlight, and for a moment her strength seemed to falter as she whispered, "I never belonged anywhere. Eli, men wanted me for work, not for love. I prayed one day someone would see me, not just my size." Eli reached for her hand, smaller against hers but firm with sincerity, and said, "I see you, Margaret. You're more than I ever dreamed of." That night, they shared their first kiss, awkward at first but deep, sealing a bond that no amount of gossip could break. As the weeks turned to months, the town's laughter gave way to respect. People began to notice the way Eli and Margaret worked together, how their ranch thrived, how their love seemed unshakable despite every doubt cast upon them. Margaret, once seen as an oddity, became known as a woman of strength and heart, and Eli, once the lonely cowboy, was now a man who had found not just a partner but a legend beside him. And so the story of the cowboy and his mail-order bride who towered over him became a tale told with pride around campfires, a reminder that love doesn't always look the way people expect, it often comes larger, louder, and stronger than the world dares to believe. And friends, if you've been swept up by this story of courage, love, and unexpected blessings, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because there are so many more tales waiting, stories that will touch your heart, stir your spirit, and remind you that love always finds a way, no matter how unlikely the match may seem.